Hello there. This is going to be another one of my long form videos. And so few people will watch this, so it doesn't really matter. But I do these so that I have less pressure and I can be more freeform and my thoughts can come to me more organically. And the birds are with me today. So today I'm going to answer the question, who is the healthiest person on earth? First, it must be clear that anyone, anywhere, can die just like that. I could die right now. And then, what is all this discussion about health for? Right? So our intuitions point towards health meaning something like, being away from death or not being so mortal. And yet, all of us are so mortal that at any moment in time, we could die. With that truism out of the way, let's then think about what kind of a human being has had the healthiest life, looking back at the totality of their life. And my position is that it would be the person who reaches the age of 100 and has a body most like that of a 30 to 33-year-old. So why do I say that? Well, the upper limit of human lifespan appears to be 122 on the record. That's by a French lady who, interestingly, smoked cigarettes. But most people would be incredibly fortunate to reach 100. But we all have this intuition that anyone who makes it to 100 is exceptionally long-lived. And so instead of fussing around with, statistical distributions and looking for precise figures in the 90s, let's just round it to a nice round figure of 100. Now, why the number 30 to 33? Well, according to most studies, this is when human health and biology peaks. It may be a little bit different for male and female, but it's no coincidence that this is also the usual age of the inhabitants of paradise, or the envisioned age, and the age that most people want to be. So, I say a healthy 30 to 33-year-old, and therefore there's a bit of circularity. I have to say what it means to be a healthy 30 to 33-year-old. So with that preamble, let me now say that to be healthy is to feel good, look good, and to do good. I mean, what do I really mean by that last bit? Doing good, health-wise, means having energy. Having energy to do the kinds of things that you want to do with your body. Now, what do I mean by those things? Well, feeling good is something personal only to you. We all know what it means to have pain, so at the very least, it means feeling pain-free and in a justified and sensible way. Like, you don't want to be pain-free if you actually should be feeling pain, because that's a useful signal your body is giving you to tend to the matter of your body. So I say being pain-free, justifiably, is the absolute rock, the absolute bare minimum for what it means to feel good. Second to that, I would say organic, as in involuntary smiling, peppered throughout the day. Not forced, not something that you will to happen, but natural smiles. And other than that, a generally positive looking face. Like, there should be a certain brightness to your eyes, something that people can sort of catch in your face, a kind of radiance of just, it's sort of like an intuitive thing that you can just tell that someone is kind of feeling good. Okay. Then I say looking good. Now, this isn't in reference to how your face is set up or how your body is set up from birth, your genetics. It's really about, I'm talking about the things that are within your control or could be fixed, So the biggest one is clear skin. Clear skin, bright eyes, full lips, but if you don't have naturally full lips, they're not like cracked lips, not like lips that look like something's wrong with them. It's very important, the mouth and oral health, because it's where you speak from, it's where you eat, it's what people are looking at. So, straight white teeth as well. Now what else? Oh yes, and I really shouldn't be talking about this, but shiny hair. The little amount of hair that I do have left is actually kind of healthy, I think. Okay, so that goes to looks. And then the last thing is, I said doing good. So how you feel, how you look, and what you can do. How you feel, how you look, and what you can do. Those are the big three. Now for what you can do, well, I say having the energy to do what you want. Right? So instead of that, because people could want to do all sorts of weird things. I want to drag a car across the road or something like that. What I'm going to go to instead is, what have most 30 to 33-year-olds been able to do throughout all of human history, especially prior to the agricultural revolution? And what can most 30 to 33-year-olds do now, who most people would call healthy? Let's try and get at what those things are, so that we can get like a consensus, a sort of consensus core. Now, I split it into 5 things. A lot of people would think that I'm just going to straight away say something to do with strength, because in today's age, a lot of young men are told that being fit, which is used as a byword for being healthy when it shouldn't be, but they're told that being fit is about lifting up gigantic weights that no one is asking them to do. That has no purpose, because you're just going to put the weight back down again. And that just overloads your heart and stresses out your body and causes wrinkles and so many other bad things. So I'm not going to go to strength straight away, because in addition to that, it would actually be the last variable of importance for someone who's approaching 100. The very first variable that I'm actually going to go to is flexibility. Flexibility. And, you know, you could come up with thousands of key indicators of flexibility. But what I want to do is I want to think about something that's accessible to nearly everyone around the world, throughout the world, and throughout all of history, and also something that seems inevitable. I'm very, very attracted to sort of perennial things. And so what I say for flexibility is simply the ability to touch your toes while you're standing up. I think that is the absolute core. Okay. Number 2 is endurance. Endurance. So a lot of people are going to think I'm going to say a marathon, something like that. Now, I have actually ran the distance of a marathon in my life before. I've done that once before in private. And I've done half marathons in addition to that. And it's very likely that I've walked as much of a distance as well throughout some days. But I don't think that running a marathon is healthy. I don't. I think it puts incredible stress on the body, and it has almost nothing to do with anything. You can do it if you want, and maybe as a one-off, but I don't think it's healthy at all. So, what do I think is healthy and perennial and something that would be discoverable by all people? Walking. Okay. Well, what would count as sort of endurance levels of walking? I would say 10 kilometers. Oh, Josh, this is because you like the number 10, and especially the number 10,000. No, it's actually not that reason. It's because for a standing human being, the distance to the horizon and back is 10 kilometers on average, rounded to the nearest kilometer. And so what this means is such a human being can make the claim that I can walk to anything that I can see and back, which is a very beautiful, poetic and organic sort of thing to be able to say. A sort of next level up from that, which a young person might aim for, is to be able to do that walk while breathing only through your nose. Okay? Although really, I've always maintained that you should be walking to something and with someone. It's always better. Just walking for the sake of walking and just walking alone, it's a lower level. It's a lower level. And you say, well, there's not really anything to walk to regularly. And I understand that. I have the privilege of being able to walk to a particularly beautiful viewpoint. Being able to walk oftentimes during sunset. So going to a particular place to see a sunset. Or going to see the birds. But for other people, perhaps they could go to their spiritual center or pay a visit to their relatives and community members. Something like that. As long as you don't just walk to just some completely random point and then just walk back. It seems kind of pointless. But anyway. So that's endurance covered. Now the third one is coordination. What do I mean by coordination? And what could I mean in a perennial setting? Because there are just simply so many directions that I could go in when it comes to coordination. Am I about to speak about football, tennis? You know? I would say that being able to play catch with a basic handheld object, throwing it above your head and catching it 10 times in a row, is sort of like a basic thing that could potentially be discovered again and again. I would have thought also juggling, but I couldn't possibly think that a 100-year-old should be able to juggle. But catching something, that's within reach. And if they can't do that, then there are all sorts of like testing points of coordination. Can you close your eyes and touch the tips of your fingers together? That goes more towards proprioception than coordination, but it's as adjacent as I can get for the 100-year-old that I'm imagining. So we've done 3 so far: flexibility, endurance, and coordination. Next up is balance. Balance. Your ability to balance. So what is the perennial skill for this? That would be standing on one leg. Standing on one leg with your eyes closed. So standing on one leg with your eyes open is the absolute base level. And this applies to both legs. And we can say standing on one leg and taking in 10 breaths and counting it mentally. So you're testing mindfulness and the ability to concentrate at the same time. The next level up from that is doing it with your eyes closed. And then the next level up from that is not counting to 10, but possibly counting to humanity's favourites, such as 30, in remembrance of the number of days in a month, approximately, or 100. Those are tests for balance. And the last one that I'm going to go to is strength. Now you might think I'm about to say about lifting up such and such an amount of weight. No. I've played with that in the past before. Lifting up half one's body weight or a tenth of one's body weight and then doing some arbitrary motion with it. But let's think about what an ancestral human would actually need strength for. Building their shelter, overcoming their prey animals and so on, of course. But fundamentally, lifting up a child. Their child. Or the child of their neighbours, because they lived in small groups. So it would take, the group would raise the children collectively. So I would say lifting up a child and being able to carry them. Now, for a modern human, that in these sort of countries who are not so connected to the lower generations, or the younger generations rather, they can substitute it with lifting up a backpack. But ultimately, of course, a lot of it does come down to functional mobility and being able to do the things that you want to do and not needing physical assistance so much and not dodging basic physical tasks and trying to find ways around it. Now, That's the big five: flexibility, endurance, coordination, balance, and strength. But I think another one, and this is sort of like a meta thing, really, is your relationship with sleep and wakefulness. So you should be able to stay awake from sunrise to sunset. That's something I've sort of envisioned. But I understand some places can have extremely long days. So perhaps I could say just being awake for half of the day. But then again, I've sort of eased up over time and I've understood that every now and again it's nice to have a nap. But overall, you should feel healthy. You should know what that means for yourself and feeling healthy. So I'm really trying to go for perennial things here, not artificial and made up things like running 21.6 miles or lifting up 1,410 pounds or any of these artificial fake things. You can do them if you want. It's your life, I'm not going to stop you. But I do think that when you strain your body so much, it takes its toll. Now, that's sort of established the healthiest person on earth. Someone who can reach the age of 100 and still be able to do all those things that I said and do them regularly and reliably. And to have not been so ill, and if you have been ill, to have recovered quickly. This is the healthiest person on earth. Someone who can do all that and have a life like that. Not some winner of a cross games tournament or cross fitness tournament or whatever it's called. But that person that I was describing. So how can you sort of approach this? Well, the kind of person who can do it regularly and reliably is especially the kind of person who can do it every day. So I recommend stretching, swimming, and walking every day, if you can, and engineering your life such that these things can become possible for you. I understand that for so many people throughout the world, so tragically, such things are so far out of reach, it's impossible. And so I'm incredibly, incredibly fortunate and blessed to be able to do these things. But I also at the same time still want to advocate for them, because there are people who have the opportunity to do them and they don't. They carve their life around different things, and I think it would be better if people oriented their life and structured their lives such that they could make room for walking and swimming and stretching and doing functional tasks, and not considering them to be slavish work or chores or whatever, but rather good things, you know? Okay, so that's sort of my opinion about who the healthiest person ever is, and a little bit of advice as to how you could possibly get close to something like that. I'm trying to think if I have anything more to say about this. Not at the moment. That's sufficient. Okay, so thank you for tuning in. Bye bye. Bye bye.